Welcome viewers to this year's V3 interview segment. This year we have Genokids, the developers behind the highly anticipated game Genokids. Welcome to the show. So, to start things off, can you give us an overview of your game, yourselves, and what you do for the game?
We're just two devs from Valencia, Spain. I'm the artist.
I'm the programmer.
And we've been working on this iteration of Genokids since 2019. The game is a very silly game inspired by, some shonen anime.
I would say it's a bit whatever we want it to be honest.
It's a wacky adventure about a band of musicians that are fighting off an alien invasion.
How did you get into game dev? And how did you two meet?
Well, we go as far as high school, which is 50 years back. And I was just making some prototypes in an old engine called Reality Factory. And we were on the same class. I pretty much just told me, I'm making games. And he was like, okay. We both promised to learn programming together, and only he did it because that was fun.
I remember by then I was using Game Maker too.
Yeah, and since then we've kind of been making very over-ambitious projects that never saw the light, just prototype after prototype. It was a hobby for us for most of our career until this iteration of Genokids.
How did you decide to make Genokids? What were your inspirations?
Well, we've been, like I said before, we made a lot of prototypes of different genres and stuff, and one of them was a sort of Metroidvania co-op game with a blue character and a red character.
2D.
Yeah. And we kind of started with that. We called it Genokids. And it has nothing to do with what the game is now. But we kind of kept mutating that idea into different genres and different ideas. Kind of zigzagging a lot. Like I said, it was a hobby, and when we changed projects, we kind of named them the same and kept the characters' color theme. And well, we finished college. We made a prototype there for a more Zelda-esque action-adventure game, and which is where the current iteration stems on. We worked on that more. And well, it went from sort of Cartoon Network-esque show, it was that iteration, to, deep DMC with punk music members.
I remember we were trying to find an art style too that took a long of iterations and trial and error.
Yeah, if you dig deep enough, you can find a lot of those iterations in agdg from 4chan as well.
Was your development process impacted at all by the controversy surrounding Unity?
When the announcement was made, that was the first time, I think, ever that I didn't want to open Unity. And I was like that for 4 or 5 days. Just looking at the Unity icon was like being captive of them, of their whims, of whatever they want to do. And it didn't feel good. But after seeing what options we had with this game, like, can we switch to Unreal now, or how is Godot right now? Is Godot even usable? And we reached the conclusion, when Spumas reached the conclusion quite fast. I was trying to not reach that conclusion. Can we switch the engine? No, we can't. It's a lot of work.
Thing is, we would need to learn Unreal and from scratch, porting all of the systems that we worked so hard to create. It would take at least a year, and we just don't have that time. So for now, we're gonna finish Genokids in Unity, and we'll see if we switch engines after that.
Probably we will go with Unreal, but I hope God is good by then, good enough I don't say it isn't good right now, but it isn't good enough.
You had a successful Kickstarter this year, but you had a previous one that had failed. Why do you think the original one failed?
I think it was mainly two things. The first one was that the game itself was not very good, because when we launched the second one, we changed a lot of things, which I will get to that later, I think. But with the first one, we had a project that was not super attractive because it was co-op. It was a DMC, but like with forced co-op. So if you didn't have friends, you would only have one of the movesets available at a time. It had a lot of things that, in retrospect, are kind of bad.
The gameplay being a bit slow and not flashy enough like it is now. And it can be improved, of course, right now. But it was worse by then, but it's not how worse or how good it is alone. Worse games have been funded in Kickstarter. It's how many people can you reach and becomes interested.
And most importantly, I think it's that we didn't have a lot of followers. There was not a whole lot of people to shield the game to, and you do need that on a Kickstarter. Either you get them organically via, I don't know, your social media, or you pay for advertisement.
What do you think you did that helped the second Kickstarter succeed?
First thing, we're also kind of glad that we failed the first one, because it allowed us to step back from the core of the game and say, okay, how we make this better? Because at the time we didn't even test the multiplayer. We said that we were going to make a multiplayer game, and we hadn't even done that yet. By the time we did, it was a mess, and even we as developers couldn't really cooperate properly to make a cohesive gameplay experience. So we were left with 4 characters with different movesets, and we were like, okay, maybe we can combine them all into one unit and make it a single player game.
But that was more like by accident, because we didn't have that idea in the first place. We were quite lost with how can we improve it. We know we had now the chance to change anything about the game, but what do we change?
Yeah, the idea came by complete chance. It was actually from a bug, but it was at the right time when we saw the potential of that idea and decided to change it, because we have just tested the multiplayer and figured out it didn't work. So we saw, after we made that change and made that the core gameplay experience of Genokids, that social media started really picking up speed. And that leads us to the next thing that I think changed the outcome completely, and that was that we had 20 times more followers for the second Kickstarter than we had on the first one. And this time we didn't reach the press. A lot of studios that are friends of ours told us to reach news outlets.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, we spent the whole first Kickstarter just emailing different websites and journalists, but most of them ignored us. And during the second Kickstarter, we received much more posts without ever contacting them. The conclusion kind of was that you do need to be news for them to care about you. And you cannot have them write about some niche indie game that nobody cares about. So what we did was reach streamers. We just sent a bunch of emails to all the streamers that we thought played similar games to the one we're making. And some of them agreed to do a stream of our demo, which obviously was very useful for us to have one. There are some Kickstarters that get funded without demos, but I don't know if we could have done that without it.
Had the Kickstarter failed, what would have been the backup plan?
I remember telling Ash that this was the last chance we would give the project. If we didn't get funding a second time, then it kind of was confirmed that this project just didn't have interest, that people wouldn't want it.
Yes, because after the first Kickstarter failed, we had to get a job and now make some money so that we could pay whatever we need, music and voice acting, whatever. We can't always be working for free, and it's not easy. Well, I didn't know how much difficult it is to work and at the same time make the game, and we were only working part-time, and that was already complicated. I don't want to imagine working 8 hours a day and then making the game. So just if that happened again, we would need to change the game. This wouldn't be a good game to be working so much on.
After the first Kickstarter failed, a studio from here, from our city, commissioned us to make a game for them. It's called Mika and the Witch's Mountain, which got a Kickstarter this year as well, but we're no longer involved with them. Technically, that's our first finished project, but since it's not on our brand, we don't count it.
Not finished.
Not finished by us, yeah. Nah.
Did receiving funding change how you viewed your game?
The biggest change I feel is that we cannot now pivot the idea any further. We have to stick to what we promised, which is why I'm so glad we failed the first Kickstarter, because had we committed to that idea, I don't know where we would be right now. But aside from that, I'm working the same as always. I don't feel really that much pressure on us. I think we're going on a good rhythm, and we have some cool stuff to show. So aside from that, there are a lot of challenges that we have to face, like just random bugs, technical stuff. Me learning how to animate as I go. But it's fun to suffer through it.
I had to make a lot of tools so that I could call events during states, during transitions, to set and remove state.
If you're an artist and you want to make a complex character in Unity with a lot of different states, Unity doesn't really give you good tools for that. For example, to have a tree of states with, idle to run, and what events can happen during the transitions and all that stuff. That the animator in Unity is a mess, and we spend him, Ash, spent a lot of time just working tirelessly on making this big ass tool for animation that now even my bird brain can use, and I can offload that work of designing the characters from the programmer.
The thing is that a lot can be done without such tools, but there needs to be some code because the complexity required.
Any advice for up-and-coming devs?
I'd say start small, and this is something that we've been told all of our lives and we never listen. And I'm just gonna be the guy that now says it to other people that will not listen to me.
After we're not doing it.
Yeah. You can lose a lot of years just working on an over-ambitious project that probably it's not the best thing you could be doing. I think doing jams and just making smaller projects that you can prototype fast is the best thing you can do as a new developer.
From what I've seen of other developers that have done that, you can grow a lot faster than just making a long, big game. Because on the first game you make it may be small and not that good, but you already will be getting more reviews and people playing the game and people interested in your studio than if you still have no game, and by the third game you already are on the lead.
Anything you'd like to show off that we can expect to see in the future?
Yeah, we usually just release everything we're doing at the moment, and we haven't released anything in like a couple of months, like anything particularly new, so you can imagine just how much we have to show.
We ran away with the money.
You do, but say it.
Where can people follow you?
Well, you can follow us on Twitter at Nukefist. And you can also follow us on our YouTube channel, which I don't remember what the name is, but if you look for Genokids, I'm sure you will find it. And
In genokids.com, there's all the links of the social media.
And Discord, I mean, you can join our Discord too.
Yeah, we are active there.
Well, thank you guys for coming to the show.
Thanks for having us, I guess.
Yes.
We wish you the best of luck, and we can't wait to see what you make. Until next time, Anons.